Hey, welcome back, Zanesville Middle School. This is Mr. Dalton, Mr. Harris again.
What's up?
And we're going to give you a little tour of the building here. This will be a little less formal than the last video. We just sort of want to give you an idea of what the building looks like, and we're going to point out some features and things that you might need to know when you show up the first day. So here we are at the front of the building. This is the parent drop-off and the walkers. You'll get dropped off out here out front. When you come up, we will have a tent set up out here in case we have bad weather. If you notice, these are our front doors, the big A on the door. This is our main entrance. All the walkers and parent drop-offs will come in this door. There will be people here waiting for you to take your temperature, and once your temperature is done, we'll move inside. So we're going to go ahead and start heading inside and show you some of the other things we got going on here in the building. Sort of how things are going to go, some of the procedures. You'll notice some of the signs already about making sure that you have your mask on. So as you come in the front doors, if you are coming in regular and you're on time for school, you'll enter through this next set of doors in front of me. Here is our office entrance. If you come in late, if you leave and have to come back, you'll come here and they'll buzz you into the office so you can sign back in. As we enter this second set of doors, we are now into the middle school. Once we're in here in the main hallway, you'll notice all these cones, and we'll sort of talk about these cones as we move around the building and how that's going to work. But you come in, and if you make a right-hand turn, you're going to head and start heading either to the classrooms, down the hallway, up the steps to the second floor, or you can come around the corner here and enter the office if you need to. Mindy is in there right now. Mrs. Pennington's in there. Mr. Harris and I, we both have an office in there, and our resource officer, Officer Barnhart, is in there also. If you come into the building and you make a left-hand turn, that will take you down to our cafeteria and to our gym. So we're going to go that way first so we can sort of give you an idea where that's at. Come down the hallway here. And if you've ever been here for a sporting event or a concert or anything, you'll know where these are at. Here's our cafeteria. Students will come in here for lunch, obviously. We would normally have breakfast in here too, but not this year. Breakfast will be done in the classrooms in the mornings when you come in the mornings. There's our part of our band room. The partition's open that separates the cafeteria from the band room. Right now, normally there's a wall that pulls shut there, so the rooms are separated. So when the students come in, they'll have assigned seats for lunch because we have to be able to if a student would happen to get sick and show any of the symptoms of COVID-19, we have to be able to let the county health department know who they may have come into contact to or with, and that requires us to have seating charts for all of their classes, including lunch. You notice the little markings on the floor. These are all spaced 6 feet apart, so the students will stand on a dot here as they wait in line to get their lunch. Lunch will be pretty similar to the way it was last year, except everything will be pre-packaged. It will be, they will have the option of a salad, a cold lunch, which will be some sort of sandwich, and then they'll also have the entree or the hot lunch. When they go through the lines, those will come out, and it looks a little bit like a takeout container, what you say, Mr. Harris? And so they'll tell the workers what they want, and those ladies will provide them with their lunch, and then the students will be able to eat. And then the good thing about those is everything can be thrown into the trash, and then nothing has to be run through the dishwasher, and nobody else has to touch that stuff. As you continue down this hallway past the cafeteria, you see we just came out of the cafeteria. Down this way, the band room is down here at the end of the hallway before you go out the doors. This is door B. This is the teacher entrance to the building. Students will not be permitted to come in or out this door. So please do not try to enter or exit through door B. And then you'll notice that little hallway there towards the end, the little opening, that is the back entrances to the locker rooms that are used for when we have sporting events here at the middle school. We're going to move down in here into the gym real quick. Not a whole lot to show you in here. It is just a gymnasium. We have some tables set up in here now as we're doing tech distribution. There's Aaron. He's our tech guy for the building. Say hi, Aaron. So this is where you'll come for gym class. If you have gym class with Mr. Baldwin anytime throughout the school year, this is where you'll come. Sometimes the bleachers will be pulled out. Sometimes they're in. This is also where we have volleyball and softball or basketball in the wintertime. So we're going to go ahead and move back, and we're going to go down the hallway and look at some of the classrooms at this time. Sort of give you an idea. You may have been wondering, we passed another doorway here, nothing important. This is, we'll show you from the front. This is the concession stand area. And again, 8th graders, you know all this stuff. 7th graders, this would be a little new to you if you hadn't been here or had older siblings in the building. We call this the Sugar Shack. It's our concession stand. During normal times, we would use this to pass out rewards to students. The student council would sell goodies out of here. We would sell popcorn from time to time out of here at lunchtime. And it's the concession stand for when we have events here in the building. But because of the new health precautions, we will not be able to use it like we have in the past. So that kind of stinks. Hopefully, this gets past us, and at some point we'll be able to open that back up again. That is a favorite of the students, is being able to come and buy the goodies that the student council sells. Mrs. Hoffer, our student council supervisor, makes a lot of this stuff, so it's pretty awesome. Just a restroom. This is the first floor bathroom. It's right outside the office. Over there in the corner, that's our choir room. So if you have music, history of rock and roll, or choir, that's where the choir room is. Another view of the office as we go past here. Again, there's one entrance door there, and as you come around the corner, there's another entrance to the office. We have some markings in there, and you'll notice the desk around the counter there. That is just to keep distancing, to keep people from hanging and stuff over top of the counter. Just again, it's a safety precaution for Mindy and anybody else that's sitting at the main desk working in the mornings, or actually any time throughout the day. So what we are entering now is we call it the 7th grade hallway, because what we did here a couple years ago was we made most of the 7th grade classrooms down here, and most of the 8th grade classrooms are upstairs with the exception of a few electives. Because of spacing, we had to mix and match a little bit. And what it has enabled us to do is the students don't have to move quite as much up and down the hallway, up and down the steps, because the middle school was built with only one set of steps, and it can be kind of congested in between classes going up and down those steps. So when we made this change, it helped that a lot. As we walk down this hallway and as we walk around the building, you'll notice these cones in the building, and this is something we're doing new, and part of it is because of COVID-19, and if it really works out, it might be something that we experiment doing with when we go back to a normal school day when everybody's here all the time. And so the way it'll work is when students come out of their classrooms. So this is Mrs. Hansgen's room. She teaches 7th grade science. Instead of just coming out and heading to your next class, you will be required to come out of the building and turn to your right and stay on the right side of the hallway, following the cones all the way down to the end. At the end of the cones, you'll be able to turn around and come back down the hallway. Now that might seem a little silly, because what if you only needed to go a couple rooms down in the other direction? Well, what it allows us to do is space you out in the hallways a little bit better. It gets all the flow going one way. If we had 2 sets of steps here in the middle school, we'd be able to make a circle between the 1st and 2nd floor, but we can't do that because we don't have the 2 sets of steps. So this was our solution to being able to keep the students moving in, keep you spaced from other students, keep all the flow going in generally one direction on one side of the hallway and one direction on the other side of the hallway. And we'll see how it works. And again, with the number of students we have online and the number of students in the building, we'll be working in building with reduced numbers. It should give us a better opportunity to see how this works without having all the kids here, and then we can make changes if necessary. Here at the end of this hallway, you kind of have to look at it backwards. You'll notice the letter F on the door. These doors are exit-only doors for us. There are no handles on the outside. This is where walkers will exit. So regardless of where you are at in the building, if you walk home, you will come down here to the 1st floor. You will stay on the right-hand side of the cones or the hallway, and you will walk and come out this side door. And what that does is it helps keep the walkers and the parent pickups a little bit away from each other, and it gets you out to the sidewalk that gets you away from the school a little faster. You don't have to go out amongst the parent pickups and the cars and those types of things. And if this works out, this might be something we do going forward as well, just as a way to help clear the building a little bit faster, a little bit more orderly. So we'll see how that goes. But again, and I guess the one positive that we have seen out of the COVID-19 is that it has caused us to rethink a lot of the way we do, not necessarily the teaching part of it, which it has because we're doing a lot of online stuff, which is sort of the future of education. But it has made us think about our procedures a little bit too, and how we move the students around the building. And we've come up with some really good ideas that we think will work even after we don't have to do things. Another restroom here. This is the 7th grade restroom, or first floor restroom. Again, girls and boys on both sides. Restroom use will be restricted between periods, because what happens is students will go in there and they'll congregate, and we're not allowed to have that. You have to keep your distance. We can't have students standing around in groups. Restroom use will be permitted more during class, as well as scheduled restroom breaks where small groups will be allowed to go to the restroom and using the 3 different restrooms in the building as we do so. So like I said, this is the 7th grade hallway. That's how I refer to it. That's how Mr. Harris refers to it, because this is generally 7th grade classrooms down here. Social studies classes are down here. One of the science classes, your 7th grade language arts, 7th grade math, for the most part, are all down here. Again, you notice all the cones. Make sure you're paying attention to those. Mr. Harris and I are trying our best to follow the rules. And like we said, those phase-in days, a big portion of the phase-in days is for us to not only teach you stuff, but for us to see how this is going to work for everybody. And what we're going to do is if it's not working, we'll make those changes as necessary. But what these phase-in days will allow us to do is teach the kids these patterns, teach them the routines, how they're going to get from class to class and still following the cones and all of those things. So what we're going to do is we're going to move upstairs, check out the 2nd floor. One thing, this is a rule even before the COVID-19, was we had one way up, one way down on the steps. Because there's only one set of steps, we couldn't have students just sort of going up and down wherever they wanted to. So always staying to the right, go up the right-hand side and down the left-hand side of the steps. So always on your right if you're going that direction. So now we're up on the 2nd floor. Give us a second. We're switching carts as we walked up the steps instead of getting in the elevator. So we're going to come over here real briefly, show you the library. Here is our library. It will be a little bit restricted this year because of not being able to share the textbooks. Those of you that have keyboarding class, this is Mrs. Rudloff's room. This is where keyboarding takes place. That is one of our semester classes, and it's a class I highly recommend. One of the greatest skills you'll ever learn is how to type. So now we're on the 2nd floor, the 8th grade floor. Like I said, most of the classrooms up here are 8th grade students, or 8th grade classrooms. We do have a few exceptions because of spacing, like there's an extra science lab up here, so one of the 7th grade science classes is up here, so they have a lab-style classroom to do the things they need to do in there. Some of our electives are up here, so you might be a 7th grader that has an elective that is here on the 2nd floor, but for the most part, 7th grade downstairs, 8th grade upstairs. And you'll notice we have the same cones that we had on the 1st floor, and it's the same idea. As you come up these steps, or as you come up the steps and down this hallway, you're going to be asked to stay over on the right-hand side. If you're exiting one of these classrooms, you'll come out of the classroom and you'll turn to the right, make your way down to the end of the hallway, and turn and come back the other way. Trying to maintain the best you can 6 feet of social distancing. We have signs hung all over the building. There's one of the ones on the wall for social distancing. Here's one about making sure you're properly washing your hands, because this is just outside the other bathroom, the 2nd floor bathroom. And then we'll also have some markings on the floors with some arrows pointing students in proper directions on which way to go. When they come out of the room, outside of each room will be some sort of marking to remind them to go to the right. Just like you did on the 1st floor, You'll circle around this last cone and head down the hallway. I do want to point out, you'll notice that this is door E. This is the end of the hallway. You can see we're all the way down away from the library now. So door E, this is where in the mornings bus students will come in. We're going to have you all get off your buses, and instead of coming in the main doors on the second floor, we're going to try to have everybody come in this door. Again, it helps us create a little bit more space between the students so that we're not clumping up outside and in the hallways. And this will be one of the doors that's used for bus exits as well. If your bus is pulled a little bit farther up in the bus lane, then we'll tell you to exit through door E. And if you're a little bit farther down the lane, we may have you go out door D. But we'll call the buses. So for example, if bus number 1 is at the front of the line, we would say any student who rides bus 1, you can now exit, and you'll exit through door E because you're up at this end of the bus lane, and it's at the front of the line, and that's how we'll do it. And then once most of those students are out of the hall, we can continue to call the other buses. So as you can see, we're just heading back down the hallway. Now, the problem where we start to run into it is when the transition between classes, when maybe you need to stay on the same floor. And there'll be markings. Not only will we have markings on the floors, but we're going to work and get markings that sit in top of the cone. If you notice, there's a hole. So you can stick a stick down in there with some signs on it to also help you. We'll have stuff in there reminding you about social distancing. We'll have stuff in there reminding you about heading in the right direction. Make sure you're washing your hands, things like that. So just to give you an example of how this could be you might have a question of what if I'm in Mrs. Deaver's class, teaches 8th grade language arts, and I now need to just go down the hall to Mr. Who's down the hall? Mr. Grulich's room. Couple just down there where that chair is sitting. Well, the easiest way would obviously be able to come out, turn left, and you'd be there in a second. But because we're going to have everybody stay to the right and have the flow going in one general direction, you're going to go down the hall. You're going to circle around the end of the cones, just like we've been doing. And then you're going to come down the hallway here, and what we will have created is a little extra space in the cones. It will be marked on the floor, and it's basically just a turnaround. So if you're going from one classroom to the other on the second floor and you need to get around the loop, there'll be a turnaround down here at the end of the hallway, and you can kind of see it here where we have the two cones a little bit closer together and a little bit bigger of a gap. There'll be some markings on the floor that show you that you can either go straight to head down the steps or a circle here where you can loop around and head back down to Mr. Norris's room and get where you need to go. Now I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it is what we've come up with here at the middle school because of the setup of the building has caused us to need to do things a little bit differently. And this was what we came up with, and we'll see how it works, and we'll adjust as necessary. This here is door D. This is our main entrance and exit on the second floor. If you can look out the door, you'll see that there's some handrails and there's steps outside. That's where the buses will generally pull up in the morning. Most of the kids will come in down there at the end in door E. If the buses start to back up a little bit, and again, like I mentioned to you, we're going to be at the mercy of the high school a little bit because the buses in the morning drop off the high school first and then come to us, and in the afternoons they pick up the high school and then pick us up. So we never really know when or exactly where the buses are going to be lined up each day. We just know they're going to be out there in the bus lane. So if we start to back up down there in the mornings, we'll also start bringing students in this door as well. And that's, again, why we have this big opening here. Not only is it a turnaround, but it gives you the opportunity to go either direction and turn right and go down the steps, or cross through, go to the left, and down your 8th grade hallway to get to your class. When we exit in the evenings, again, depending on how the buses are lined up outside, the buses that are farther up in the bus lane, closer to Blue Avenue, we will call students out door E. And as they start working their way back down here and the buses start to back up, we will begin calling buses to exit outdoor D as well. And get those students onto their buses, which, again, they'll be distanced on the bus. They have to wear their mask on the bus, and then we'll get those students home. One thing I did neglect was we do have an elevator here in the building that takes you from the first to the second floor. That is only for students who cannot walk the steps for some reason, whether it be an injury, illness, something like that. and that is something that you'll need to, handicap, that is something you'll need to talk to us in the office about before you use the elevator. We're going to head back downstairs real quick to wrap this up. So Mr. Harris and I will head that way. So again, I know it'll seem a little bit confusing, a little bit out of the ordinary, especially for you 8th graders who went a whole school year here, and things were, as we'll put it, normal at that point, and now we're having to operate under a different set of rules here. But we'll make the best of it, and we will adjust as necessary, and we'll make this work for us and for the students. We'll do the best we can. Again, we're back down here in front of the office. I hope this little tour is helpful to you. It's a shame that you don't get to come and do this yourself until you actually get into the building. But if you have any questions once you're here in the building, you're kind of confused, where do I go? I'm not sure what class this is. Where's this at? Where's that at? You just need to ask an adult. There will be plenty of teachers around, plenty of people that are here willing to help you out and support you and do the things that we need to do to make this as smooth as we can for you. So wrapping this up, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. 7th graders, we will see you next Thursday. 8th graders, we will see you next Friday. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see you.
Bye.